So that's where I am. Nice to see you, Jenny.
I love that you're in Bali. I haven't been to Bali since I was 2.5, so I think it's changed since then. But I
I've
one of these
never
days I'll
been.
get back there.
I've never been. So
Amazing.
yeah, this is the first for me. It's exciting.
I love that. That's so cool. And what a great thing about, this is one of the reasons we love doing what we do is that we can have these opportunities to travel to wherever we want to go or wherever our clients invite us to support them grow their business, support them build their business, but also we get to experience other cultures, which is such a great part of our job.
Great, Jenny. And for the last few days, I've been working with people from, they're over here from the UK, the US, Canada. Majority of them are from Singapore. There's just South Africa. There's so many countries here for this retreat. And then today, I just had this amazing big long meeting with this YouTuber from Belgium that lives in Vietnam. So I just love the internationalness of it all. It's really, really fun. And then, yeah, here we are in Bali, just everybody come together doing business, which is really cool.
So good. That is so good. And I love this conversation when we're thinking about what we're going to talk about today. I thought you're going to Bali. What a great opportunity having conversation with clients. So I thought, let's talk about boundaries at work, or let's talk about setting boundaries, because I know it's something that a lot of people have challenges with, and you're away could be 24/7 with a client. So boundaries are so important to think about, how am I going to manage this trip while I'm away?
Very, very good topic, isn't it? And he's got a huge team here with him. He's got three VAs from the Philippines, which is wonderful that I've got to meet them in person. I'm loving that. He's also got his team in from Singapore. He's from New Zealand. Some of the rest of his team are from the UK. And so they're starting at 8 a.m. and finishing at 11 p.m. So it's very, very long days. As you would know, we've done many retreats, you and I, on different business things. And so it's often those kind of hours. So yeah, how do you set those, but make sure that you're there and present, etc. So yeah, it's a really interesting one, and I'm excited to hear what you've got to share on that topic.
Well, I thought I would be a bit structured. We'd like some structure. We're talking about boundaries and limits. And really, the idea about setting boundaries is about establishing personal goals, but also limits about how and when you work. And really, setting boundaries is not so much about stopping people doing things with you, or kind of putting constraints on what you're doing. It's really about protecting your time and your energy so that you're using it to thrive in the right areas and not having it taken away from you when you're really, it's not being productive and not helping you reach your goals. So I like to start with kind of why. We like to start with the concept of why. It gives us clarity about what we're here for. So really, there are three key reasons we want to set boundaries. The first one is about productivity. The more structure and boundaries that you put into your day, the more you can actually be productive. And boundaries are really just another nice way of saying structure. So when you can focus on what truly matters without getting sidetracked by distractions, it means you can actually channel that energy that you have into what's important for your business, whether that's marketing, whether that's sales, whether that's delivery, whether it's having amazing conversations with YouTubers from Belgium. Whatever that focus means for you, it boosts your productivity and you can really focus your effort and your energy where it matters. So I think that's really important. It's not about just structure. It's actually about focusing your energy so you can get the most out of your time that you're giving, and your energy, of course. So that's the first reason why I think boundaries are really important. And we have a delay, so I might just wait a minute just in case Kylie is. Yep.
I think that's wonderful. And one thing I wanted to say is that luckily my client understands my type of work. And so we'd already set that boundary in advance of me coming, which was that I would take 2 to 3 hours out in the middle of each day when I needed to go and work on Hello Media stuff, which is awesome. And I don't want to be in a scenario where we're finishing at whatever time of night and then I'm heading off trying to do Hello Media work in the hotel room, you know? So that boundary setting, and so I want to add the word expectations in there as well. So what are you expecting from yourself? What's your client expecting, or your customers expecting from you? And just being really clear up front.
Definitely. And that actually goes to the second piece. You talked about the VAs and you've talked about that they're long days, from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. We're always on the go. But what boundaries do, and like you're having that kind of time out for your day to focus on Hello Media, is that it actually reduces your risk of overwhelm and burnout. And so burnout doesn't have to happen over a long period of time. You can be immersed in something really quickly and get burnout or overwhelm immediately. So what boundaries do, and that term expectations is so important, because what it allows you to do is really get clarity and draw some lines between when you want to work, when your energy's going. And because that line at the moment is so blurred with a 24/7 kind of media and social cycle, it's really easy for us to kind of be working at 11 p.m. when we're really supposed to be relaxing or chilling out or getting ready for bed or spending time with our family. We want to be on our phones responding to emails. So when we have boundaries, the second reason that they're really important is that it actually allows you to manage your time and energy. And it ensures that you maintain a really healthy relationship between your work and everything outside of work. Now, I'm not going to say balance, because balance implies that it's even. And we know that sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're 20 hours at work and 4 hours in life. And sometimes you're 24 hours in life and 4 hours in work. So really, it's about having a healthy relationship, and boundaries allow you to do that healthy relationship for your business, for your family, and all the other things that are important in your life.
We said, so quite some years ago, you and I both worked with a sales coach, and the way that he worked with his team is that they just needed to be available to him all the time, but they could have multiple time off if they needed it. And that really worked brilliantly for him, and it apparently worked really well for his team. But it's the opposite to how it would work for me. I need to set boundaries for my own personal life, myself, and also know that my team are also having the space and life to get on with what they need to. So I think that's the key there, is what's working for you, or it will be completely different to what's working for me.
Most definitely. And I think that goes to the third piece, is that the third reason, before we get into the kind of the tips, is it provides clarity and respect between the people you're working with. So around that expectation piece, when I'm really clear and understand what you want from me, what I need to give you in that time period and when we're going to work together, it reduces my uncertainty. And we've talked about uncertainty before. It gives us confidence about, we know what's expected of our relationship. And I guess I learned this many years ago when I started. I had a beautiful client I was working in the US with for a whole week. And I understood a day's work was 10 till 6, and she understood a day's work was 10 till 11 p.m. So here's me overseas in this beautiful location, and I'm working till 11 p.m. every night, going home, getting up, trying to get over jet lag. And because her expectation was that I would be there pretty much every waking hour she was there. And I didn't learn that until after I'd been away for 5 days, going, oh my goodness, what is going on here? That we have difference of expectations. So when you set your boundaries and really clear about that, you actually understand and fosters that respect. Now, my beautiful friend Leanne Hardinge wrote a program called Thrive at Your 9 to 5. And one of the key elements of that is learning how and when to communicate. And so how and when you communicate and engage is equally as important as how often you do it and the way that you do it. So those boundaries and expectations really allow you to build really respectful, productive relationships. I have my amazing team, and they all work a little bit differently. My colleague Helena here in Australia, we have set hours and days that she works, and the team, the beautiful Kelsey and Macy, they work Monday to Friday, but we're flexible about those times. If I need something, they're always there, but we always work that kind of 9 till 6-ish at the very latest. Occasionally I will reach out after hours, but it's always done as if you have time and are you able. Again, I'm setting those boundaries and expectations that they don't have to drop family dinner to come and work for me. They actually do it in their own time. So I think having those three things as your guiding kind of, the vision or the mission or the reason you're doing it is productivity, reducing overwhelm and burnout, and having clarity about your relationships. Why wouldn't you set boundaries? Like, why wouldn't we put them in place and set those expectations? And I think that's what we kind of don't connect with the why. So people think it's just something else they have to do in business.
And it's totally the perfect word that you've said, which is respect. Respect for yourself, respect for others. And that's in your personal life too. The setting of boundaries is just vital.
Exactly. So I have 3 really quick tips. I know you're stepping away from your client at the moment to help us out and chat today. So I'm going to go through these tips really quickly, and we're going to pop a blog up today which has a little bit more detail on them, but they're really simple and everybody can start this right now. The first thing, you need to identify what's important. Now, you might call it your priority, you might call it your to-do list. I call it my not negotiables. So what are the things that you must do or they're not negotiable for you and your business? So are there certain hours that you can and can't work? Are there certain ways that you want to work or don't want to work? And understand what those priorities or those not negotiables are for you and your business. So that's you, your space, your time, your family, whatever that means to you. So I do that in my workspace by using the Eisenhower Matrix, which we've created the tool to do first, which talked about it before. And so that allows you to organize and prioritize your tasks based on their urgency and importance. And so using that allows me to say, well, what's important to me today? What are the things that are not negotiable in this moment or in this week or in this month? They're the things I focus on. So I set my priorities first. So that's the first thing. So sit down and think, what's important that I have to get done, and when do I want to do it? Space, time, family, exercise, meditation, Pilates, whatever those things are for you. Set the boundaries of your priorities first. The second thing is really critical, is that we set our limits. And the limits is a funny thing, and we're going to this, and then I'm going to take a pause because I know Kylie is going to jump in right now, is that we have to actually set our limits. And so that means to keep motivated, we have to be really clear, like Kylie's just done, around setting our work hours and how we want to work. So we use Calendly. I know Kylie uses Google Calendar. So using tools like Calendly or Google Calendar to allow you to actually set boundaries around when people can access your time is a really amazing way to set limits in your business. If you are a people pleaser like me and like Kylie, we will bend over backwards for our clients and we'll book them in on a Saturday afternoon or 5 a.m. or 10 p.m. if that works for them. So what's great about tools like Calendly or Google Calendar is it allows you to actually set your limits around when and how you want to work. And it takes the pressure off you to have to say no to somebody because they just go to the calendar. And if there's available time, that's when they can book. So you don't actually have to have the pressure. And I like to say this, we often have this time of it takes the pressure of trying to find time that works for somebody else. Instead of focusing on what works for us and how we can be best show up, we flip it and try and work for our clients first. But actually what we're doing in breaking our limits and moving around our limits, we actually don't always show up and we get overwhelmed and we start to get a little bit resentful. It's like, oh my God, I have to get up at 6 a.m. or I have to do this on a Saturday because we've not set the limits or the boundaries. So Calendly, Google, setting limits means that you take the pressure off yourself and you allow someone else to be respectful of your time. What do you think about those two, Kylie, before we go to the third one?
Fantastic. And I'd like to say also that what's so good about it is that it's so good when you can automate parts of your business. So that's a prime example of using AI. So AI, once you set up your available hours, and you're right, so everything automates with our Google Calendar. We use Keep, which is our CRM, to set them up. We used to use Calendly. And I set those hours so that you can book. So some days I'm available at 8 a.m., some days not at all, for example. But there's no awkward conversations going on with the potential client or whoever is trying to book about, well, no, I don't do that time or I don't do that time. It's already there laid out for them. But also, what I love is that it's eliminating the back forth carry on, because I can see what my calendar availability is in your calendar and make them marry together. So that's AI working at a really basic but brilliant level.
It's such a good example, Kylie. And what I also love about having the booking calendar, I actually have an extra piece that overlays on top of that, is that I have an automated response that goes on my emails that says, we are often doing delivery or out of the country or traveling to deliver what we do. And so please be respectful that I've got your email and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can, but be mindful that it may not be today. And if it's really urgent for you, then maybe give us a call or send us a text or book an appointment. So we do that so we can be really clear with our clients around these are our boundaries, this is how we're working, but it gives them a framework and sets up that expectation. So what we do is I look through my calendar probably every month or so just to revise my limits or my priorities to say, have I got enough time to do the things I need to do? Do I need to allocate a little bit more time to design or to report writing or to sales calls or to some marketing? So I make sure I revise those every month. So we're still keeping balance in our organization and in the way that we work, but we're still doing it within our boundaries and our limits. So it's so important to do that constant revision. But I love AI can support us do this so well. And as you say, no awkward conversations of like, oh, I can't really do that at that time. It's not comfortable for me. So we'll just do it anyway because I'm a people pleaser, right? And that's what a lot of our clients do. We know that. The third one is the hardest one, but also the most fun. You need to strengthen your no muscle. So we're naturally inclined to say yes to most people. So we have to remember that saying no, and my amazing Helena will be very cheering me in the background that we're sharing this one today because she talks to me about this for me as well. She's my, little person on my shoulder reminding me to say no sometimes. But saying no is actually about self-care. Fundamentally, it's about recognizing where your limits and boundaries are. And when you're saying no to somebody else, it means you're respecting yourself enough to put and respect those boundaries and limits that you've established. So when we reflect on why we're in business and how we want to work, boundaries actually facilitate us to deliver that. So mine is about freedom, right? One of my core principles is about freedom. So that means I have to have choice and control over my decisions that I make. And time and energy are one of the two things that we can control ourselves. So learning to say no is really around helping you live true to your values, live true to what you're doing. So the one way we can start by doing this is when somebody asks you for something or you're pulled or pushed from a different direction, ask yourself, is this bringing me toward my goal? Is this aligned with my values? And is this action or task going to help me build my business? Is it help me going to grow and meet my goals? If the answer is yes to any of those questions, then you actually can say, okay, well, fine, we'll find a space for you because you're helping me move toward my goal. But if the answer is no, and it's just someone tire kicking, or it's a sales call from someone that you don't really want to deal with, or it's a telemarketer that you're just saying, the answer is no, practice saying no respectfully, of course, and align to your values. But by starting to turn down small tasks that pull you away from your business or even your personal well-being and don't align with your values, it helps you build your no muscle. And your no muscle will strengthen and your boundaries will get stronger and your limits will be more defined. And what will happen is it will allow you to focus on your business and thrive your business. And so for me, it's a really powerful step towards building the business and the life that you want that aligns with your values and aspirations.
So beautifully said. I'm loving the flexing the no one. It's absolutely awesome. And I think everyone needs to hear that in their personal and in their business life. Because of course, if you say yes too often in business, that's impacting your personal life and vice versa. So yeah, for all aspects of our lives, flex that no button muscle, not button.
The way I did it, I actually
had, Jenny. Thank you.
I had a coaching call with a client last week, and we were actually talking about boundaries. We'd already set the topic for this week, but it turned out we were talking about boundaries. And she's this beautiful PT. She's been growing her business, and it's so successful. And she came to me saying, I'm really worried that if we grow, I'm going to be resentful and I'm going to start not loving my life. I'm not going to love doing PT anymore because I'm going to keep adding clients and adding clients. And that's the conversation we had with her. I said, sit down and write down the hours you want to work. Then let's have a look at the calendar that you have now, and let's see if the clients are working on a day that you don't want to be there or a time that doesn't suit you, color them red in your calendar, and then over the next month, see if you can move them into the parts of the times of the day where you want to work. So then you show up better, and it doesn't have to change overnight. So she's gone away and identified 2 or 3 kind of clients that the hours are sitting kind of on the very edges of her limits. And she's going to talk to them about reallocating their time within the limits that she set. And so what that's going to do, it's going to keep her energized. It means when she turns up, she knows what her calendar looks like. She's not going to feel resentful or it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go on 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. I can go maybe 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. That's okay with me, but Thursday's my family day. So by setting those limits and boundaries and having those conversations in a really respectful way, she's going to maintain her energy in her business. She's going to be able to run her business the way she wants to, and she'll be able to still grow her business within those boundaries that she set.
So glad you brought that up about that kind of a business where when people need you most is outside regular working business hours, because it's a very, very tricky one. We've got a client that's a dance studio. So it's exactly the same thing. And how late do they want to work at night? So we found that bringing in extra teachers was really going to make a difference to give them some time without being there till 11 at night.
Exactly. So it helps you get clarity about, how do I want to run the business? Do I need more staff? Is this working for me? Can I still grow the business and enjoy my life? All those questions actually start to come out when you just start a conversation around boundaries in your business. So it's way more than just scheduling your time and saying no to people. It's actually a really strong foundation to building a business that you can love for years to come and setting it up for success. So if you want to sell it, or you want to grow it, or you want to franchise it in the future, you'll have those foundations set so strongly that it will grow with you.
Absolutely. It's setting yourself up for success, but also you just pointed that out about what's happening in the future for that business, because nobody wants to buy a business that where you're putting in 80 hours a week.
Exactly. So they're my little tips on, why we should set boundaries and how we can actually, some activities to do it. So setting your boundaries, identify your priorities, set your limits, and flex that no muscle. If you start doing that today, just on little things, and get comfortable with it, might be uncomfortable to start, but you will help create an environment where you can grow and thrive. And that's really what we're here about, growing the business of our dreams, right?
Yes, Jenny, and those were just fantastic tips. I love them. Thank you so much. And it has been great zooming in with you. I'm just going to apologize for my shonky internet and also for my endless fanning, but it is extraordinarily hot. And I wish I had a fan near me.
Every time you fan, I feel like I'm seeing Taylor Swift on stage. It's this kind of beautiful blonde hair going. I'm loving it. It's great.
Oh my word, it's so
Well, thank you, Kylie, for dialing in.
When I came downstairs, my water was ice cold. Right now it's warm.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you for dialing in from Bali in the extreme heat that we're starting to get out of here in Brisbane, thankfully. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in on our podcast today about setting boundaries at work. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you at our next events or our next podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow on whatever channel you're listening to us on, so you don't miss any future episodes. But we'll see you next Monday for our next Bite Size Business Life podcast. Kylie, enjoy Bali, stay cool, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.